Did Duke and UNC recruit you?
Yes.
Like, did they offer you, or did they write you a typed letter? Like, what kind of
Okay.
recruitment here?
With Duke, I got a type letter. With UNC, it took them until my sophomore, junior year to offer me, but it didn't match my agenda. It didn't match what I wanted to do with my life. You know, I went to Kentucky one time, and it just felt like it was home. Like I just felt like it was the place for me. The assistant coach Kenny Payne was like one of the people that really convinced me to go. And that was because he said, I was going to be honest with you. You know, we're going to work and you can be here 8 months, do what you're supposed to do, and you can go take care of your family. And for me, I always wanted to take care of my mom because I wanted to get her out of Pinetown, North Carolina.
What was that recruitment process like for you, knowing that you wanted to eventually get to the NBA? And Calipari obviously has talked about this publicly, but what were the things they were telling you about sort of fitting into that one and done cycle that they've had now for a decade plus?
The biggest thing was we all had to sacrifice. So what you were doing in high school does not matter, basically. We're starting fresh. It felt like a fraternity process, how I put it to a lot of people. Knowing like fraternity processes and how they go, you know, you're there for it. You can't say anything about it. And it strips you down to like to you. And that's what it did to a lot of us at Kentucky. You know, just going through that pressure as a 18-year-old kid, having to hold this standard for a university and the history they have behind it, the dudes that, you know, went to Kentucky before me and how they performed. Everybody's going to the Elite Eight, you know, Final Four. Some got to the national championship. Some won, some lost. So seeing that, it was like from the time I stepped in, I knew it was a standard for me. And then I was always going to be held to that standard.
I was going to follow up with that with just, did you, with De'Aaron and Malik and all these guys, was there any adjustment? You played with a lot of good players in high school and AU and everything like that, but was there any adjustment to just the extreme talent level of stepping on that campus?
I mean, at the time, it was easy because we all looked there, like, obviously there was no money involved. So like, we all looked at each other like we were
Yo, Tommy, do you like how you had to put that in? None of us suggested it, Bam. None of us suggested it.
But you know, when we get in the NBA, and JJ, you know this, some guys, you know, they change when money get in their pocket. Like,
okay,
that's
a fact.
Yeah, it's a fact. So going into college, we all were like, you know, we're young, we don't know what's ahead of us, and we just all, you know, took the responsibility as brothers. So it wasn't hard, you know, sacrificing, because we all wanted the same goal. We all wanted to win, and we all wanted to take care of our families.
We're recording this the day before the men's Final Four, the day of the women's Final Four. You guys made the Elite Eight. There was an epic game that De'Aaron had against UCLA in the Sweet 16 against Lonzo Ball. Obviously, that game is a lasting memory. But in terms of memories from Kentucky or memories from March Madness, are there any that stand out in particular?
The treadmill. Yeah, that's one memory that I don't care what anybody says. If you went to Kentucky, you knew what the treadmill, like you heard it, because our assistant coach before practice. Now this is some mind-boggling stuff. Like what we was walking into every day, you didn't know. You didn't know what type of mood he was in. You didn't know, like, if we was just going to get shots up before practice. You didn't know if he was going to walk in and be like, all right, everybody, you know, a double suicide takeoff. some days he would just walk. We would walk in, and the treadmill would just be running. So, as an 18-year-old kid, like somebody's gonna like a couple days, it just be on throughout the whole practice with nobody touch it. It was just like to mentally mess with us. It was just that treadmill. I'm not gonna act like ain't nobody get on the treadmill. It was some victims on the treadmill, but to that diabolical to where I'm gonna just turn the treadmill on as fast as it can, and I'm gonna just let them hear it when they walk in. That is one memory, and also obviously when I'll say my other memory is when Malik had 30 and a half. We were playing Florida at the time, and I'm thinking I'm having this great game. I end the game with like 18 and 15, something spectacular. And he has 3 points at halftime and walks in halftime, and Coach Cal just, rips him one. And you can see it in his face, whole expression just changes. Like, it's just like, there's nothing there. Like, he's just like, all right, you're going to talk to me like that. I'm about to show you what I can do. And 30 and a half is incredible against, obviously, Florida, we have, UD on the team. So I always bring that up every once in a while, just to tease him.
By the way, I'm happy for Malik, and he's obviously shown flashes of being a really good NBA player when he was in Charlotte, but to have the consistent season he's had, and really hoping that equals a nice payday for him this summer. On the treadmill front, I think this is an excellent example of college coaches, just basically mental fuckery.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
It's mental fuckery. And, I love Coach, and he's been a friend now for over, I guess 20 years. But that's how I describe my college experience. That's how I describe it. It was 4 years of mental fuckery. And I'm glad I went through it. But there certainly were days where you mentioned waiting to see what mood Cal was in, whether it was after a loss and you're waiting in that locker room and you're sick to your stomach because you have no fucking clue what's about to happen.
Like if you lose and it was like the next day in practice, it was like, all right, like, how y'all think he feeling today? Like, we all huddled up, like, how y'all think this is gonna go? Like at the end of the day, like you said, mental fuckery, which is exactly what it was. Like, it was just like we would lose and he'd be in a great mood. He'd be like, all right. And he would win a game and then he'd be mad. And it was kind of like, so like, what balances you out, my guy? Like, what is your fix to like leave us alone with this shit?
What was there any question about coming out the draft?
Nah, I have this dope story for you. So after we lost to UNC, obviously we all got our moments, we all get our emotions out. And he calls me, Fox, and Malik in his office. Well, at the time, we were still there. So he called us in the little makeshift office they make for the coaches or whatever. And he was like, I appreciate y'all being a part of this team, appreciate y'all being a part of this family. But y'all will not be coming back here next year. I will rip your transcripts up tomorrow, and I want y'all to go take care of y'all families. And that was it. So it was like it wasn't an option at that point. At that point, he gave us the option to be like, you can't go back to school. So you go take care of y'all families. I'll meet y'all at the draft. We take all the pictures. We get all this exposure and we all have this fun. But, the biggest thing I loved about the guy was that he wanted guys to take care of their families at the end of the day.
Yeah. There's something that's very empowering about that. The flip side of that, of course, is that he probably had recruited a bunch of top 10 recruits and promised them the same thing, playing time, and you can leave after a year.